voice of Buddha, saying stop your sericulture. Little people like your offspring full of the sun god stuff. You Buddhas watching, Buddhas waiting. Just because the kid's an orphan, there's no excuse for thoughtless slaying. People don't forget there's torture. Just because you call her mother doesn't mean that she's your better.
Yes. Next week on the Drive-In Asylum double feature, our special guest host will be Jennifer Upton, beaming in from London to help us dig into Shakma, the Simeon on a Rampage horror classic starring Christopher Atkins from 1990, and also featuring a very brief performance by Roddy McDowall. But
what's the other movie?
Other movie. Oh, Sam, do you want to announce it? I can't.
Frankenstein 80, which is one of Bill's favorites. I gave Bill a list of movies, Frankenstein 80 in the middle, and I knew that's the one he was going to pick. So, yes.
He does that to me all the time. We'll be talking about what movies we're going to program, and he puts the one I know I'm going to pick. Like, but he'll say it like third.
Yeah.
I've never seen Frankenstein 80. I remember it was on Gorgon Video, and I had a video stored in my house that had all the Gorgon ones. And then was that one and the like Devil Doll or something that I never rented. I just got Blood Spattered Bride over and over in Bay of Blood.
Oh man, get ready. Frankenstein 80 is something else.
It's one of those movies that makes you want to take a shower after you've seen it.
Yeah,
at least me.
I know he beats people up with giant bones, right?
Yes. Amongst other things, yes.
There are several giant bones in Frankenstein 80.
Bill's the least of them as he watches it.
So,
I have my shark medallion on, Bill, so I'm protected for the rest of this movie. So,
did you get it from this box?
Oh, yeah.
This ancient box?
Oh, man.
I think I have that same box.
Yeah,
Justice.
I know. I was like this like wizened old like Vietnamese guru or whatever has a box from Cost Plus. Like,
yeah. Yeah, this movie's weird, to say the least. It's like it's almost like the story of a man who just couldn't take the way people treat sharks, and till at the end he just loses his mind. And again, I talked about making weird letterbox lists. If you're making another one, it's movies where people committed shark-assisted suicide, in Florida shot movies. This is the second one that we've shown on the show. So something else.
The other one being, of course, My Brother Has Bad Dreams, directed by another Florida auteur, Robert J. Emery, who featured in the latest issue of Drive-In Asylum.
We were kind of doing a credit crawl on IMDb during this, and there's so many people that cross over, not just into William Griffith's movies, but like in tons of other ones. And Mike, right when we were getting ready to go on, I wanted to tell you that Jordan Klein, who is the guy who is the second unit for all the underwater scenes, his resume is absolutely insane. If there was a movie that has underwater scenes in it, he shot them. Like, he ran camera for it. So he did, I'm going to go through a couple of the ones that he did. Day of the Dolphin, Gums, which is the fake Jaws movie.
It's a porn.
Yeah.
Porn.
He also did Jaws 3D. And he did Never Say Never Again, which, as we all know, is just Thunderball. He did Splash, Dreamscape, Cocoon, another Florida shot region, not regional, a Florida shot movie. Jaws: The Revenge, he also did. He did Splash, 2, the Splash TV movie. Doc Hollywood, as I said, he did Billy Bathgate, Straight Talk with Dolly Parton. Yes, Diabolique, the Pittsburgh movie. He did the bathtub scenes for that movie with Sharon Stone. He did the Hulk Hogan movie, Assault on Devil's Island. And he did Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo for all the underwater scenes for that. So
do you think he slept with Adrienne Barbeau?
I'm wondering. Yeah, Mike, please talk about Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, okay. So in the credits for the movie, the second assistant director was Adrienne Barbeau.
Not Barbeau, Barbeau.
Yeah.
You wondered, did they ever meet? Did they ever cross over?
Yeah. It just sounded like, I was like, is this like a pseudonym or something? Like, it just sounds like, like when people can't pronounce. It sounds like it's something you would call Adrienne Barbeau.
Like your dad would say something, like, or a relative that doesn't know about. Like, I saw the Adrienne Barbeau that you like so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
or it could be kind of like when I called Giovanni Lombardo Radici Radice.
Or one of any of the thousands of names that I butchered. Man, that bar, it's a weird place to go. Like, people kind of are there all night for a hurricane party. Also, there's sharks that might eat somebody, and that's your entertainment. And, like, I don't know. It seems like a strange place to go.
That is a genius entertainment move, a live shark attack. Who's done that? Nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. She definitely had it coming, though.
Yeah, Becca said she would describe that if she was doing her online review of it. It's a crusty crab shack with showgirls.
But see, didn't you? Okay, so it just did not feel like 1976. Like, it honestly felt like Blood of Dracula's Castle era, like 68, 69.
Yeah.
It did not feel like 76.
Well, especially because the guy giving the speech before her act really felt like, if you told me he was a Roger Corman beatnik character, I'd say, yeah, all right. He's kind of like Dobie Gillespie.
Yeah. I mean, he was like a beatnik. She was like some, pre-hippie woman. I mean, I can't believe that this would have been. It's just, I don't know where they were living. It was like 10 years behind.
The richest guy in town doesn't have a pool. He just has a trough that leads its way to a river.
Oh, can we talk about that? I could never swim in that canal. Never. I don't care if there's a net or not.
Yeah, and wouldn't it flood like when it rains? Like, the water's like 10 feet from his back door.
Yeah.
It just feels like I know pools. I have a pool. You have to take care of them, but like, just like a dirty river doesn't seem like. Also, there's a hurricane brewing. I sound like Willy Wonka there for a second, but there's like a hurricane coming, and like, he's like, yeah, it's time to jump in the river and just waddle around.
Not me. Yeah, I would have to have lights in there so I could see what was in there before I would get in.
So what did they explain? Why did the guy at the aquarium kill the sharks? Because he wanted to like dissect them?
Becca thinks he was selling them.
Okay.
I think the point is that this shark was pregnant,
Yeah.
and he wanted to experiment on a pregnant shark. So that was why he cut her open.
He's like the Joseph Mengele of shark doctors.
Why did he think he would never have to explain that to that guy? I guess he was going to tell him, well, she died and we cremated her.
Right. Or he's all shocked. He's like, "Well, you're not supposed to be here today." Like, yeah, exactly. Like he was just going to avoid him and then to pretend that she died of old age or something.
Yeah.
He's like, "I haven't
What are the
talked to you in
babies?
10
Oh,
years."
I just let them swim off. They're fine.
We
I threw
released
back
her
in.
into the ocean. I love how he recognized that dead hammerhead shark. He's like, this shark lives around a reef that nobody knows about.
That's Joe. What is he doing? Joe? Yeah, what do those guys do for fun? Is that? I know there's a lot of Florida folks. Rhetorical question. Is Florida that boring that you just get on a boat and shoot guns into the water and kill numerous sharks, and then drag them around behind you?
Well,
I mean, that seems exciting, but that seems like, I guess this is pre-video game era. You know, it just seems like there's other things to do other than shooting sharks up.
Yeah, but they didn't really have. I mean, wherever they lived didn't seem to be like that happening. And even when they do, I mean, even in like the movie Wild Things, like they're all supposed to be rich and stuff, and yet they all just kind of hang out at bars and like shoot out the window and like.
As someone that's watched all 4 Wild Things, I will 100% agree with you.
It'd be hard for us to find someone that could speak so eloquently about all 4 Wild Things. But
I like that Wild
Sam
Things
Panico
4 is called Foursome, because it's like, you know what, we've already done a threesome in every Wild Things movie. How are we going to innovate? Foursome.
Just one more person.
Thank you for writing about them, so I never have to watch them. I just read your reviews. I'm like, that's all I need to know.
Anytime. I'm sorry that I didn't get the Showgirls 2 before you were part of the crew. So.
Showgirls 2.
Oh,
I still haven't seen it.
I like it. I really do like it. I have another sequels week coming up, so if I missed any horrible sequels.
Where can I watch it? Do I have to buy it, or?
I had a copy. I can't remember where I got it. Let me look. I might still have it. I downloaded it.
Showgirls 2, I feel like there's like a little mini genre of like what the fuck sequels, like Deja Vu, like I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
And Showgirls 2 that are sort of like kind of like tenuously connected to the original, but filmed with a camcorder and they're just throwing everything in the kitchen sink, you know, to see what sticks or whatever. And
it's the one that gets close to that, but it's actually a shot movie, is the Mila Kunis one. Mako 2. Which
that's
found
right.
out was a sequel at the premiere.
What was that
movie? It's all ADR'd.
Black Swan. I couldn't remember the title of that Suspiria-esque film she did.
Yeah,
that was Mila Kunis.
Yeah, it is. I have a weakness for direct-to-video sequels where it's like Universal is the king of this. Where like Dukes of Hazzard, the prequel, and okay, I'll watch that. It's that's where the Cruel Intentions one's got me. Like if that Cruel Intentions 2 had been an actual series, though, I can't even imagine if they tried to. I don't know if you've seen it. Like, it's got like a girl roused by horses in it and stuff. There's a lot of stuff you're like, this was going to play on Fox. Like it goes there. Like it does not. It's like near Italian in its lunacy.
Do you think there's a distinction between direct-to-video sequels and made-for-TV sequels?
Not in my world, because that lets us get in the jerk comment too, and whatever happened to Rosemary's Baby.
Mike,
do I think that they're in the same league?
Is it the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, because I feel like this, Splash 2 was made because Splash had been such a huge hit. They were like, hey, if we make this thing and we call it Splash 2, like, we'll get advertisers. We could make some money, but we don't have nobody from the original wants to do a sequel. We can't do a sequel without Tom Hanks. We can't do a sequel without Ron Howard. Wait, yes, we can. We'll make it for TV, So I feel like that's kind of like what it's like is like when they want to make a sequel, but it's just not going to be, doesn't have the same pedigree as the original. So they can just sort of, if it's actually meant to be. Then there's also like what Sam was talking about, like American Psycho 2, where they just had this random movie and they're like, how can we tie it to an existing property that we own?
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of Hellraiser movies where the same thing happened. Where they got like halfway through them, they're like, this could be a Hellraiser movie. Cool. I'm a big fan of when they did TV series out of, because everybody's like, well, MASH worked. Certainly people want an Animal House series. 8 episodes later, no, they did not. But as a kid, I was always, my theory was like, I loved it for an hour and a half. I'm going to love watching it every week. And I was probably the only one. I was like, oh.
Well, it's also stupid when they'll take something that really benefits from having an R rating, like something that's really uncompromisingly, unapologetically raunchy and adult, and they're like, let's make it G rated for TV. Like, it'd be like if they tried to make, like a sexy, like, Silk Stockings level of sexiness, but it was like Basic Instinct, the series.
Yeah. I'm shocked that never happened, and I 100% would watch it. So
yeah, I would watch it too. Matt has a good point too about direct to video. You could do whatever. You could be R rated, just like you said, Mike. But made for TV. But a couple of things like made for TV. There's a weird sort of like made for cable aspect.
Yeah.
Where you could be R rated. They're like Psycho 4. I think that had violence in it. That had some R-rated violence in it. And I liked Psycho 4. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, yeah. What about When a Stranger Calls Back? Was that made for like USA Network or something, or
maybe Showtime?
I think so.
Okay, so it was cable, so they could.
And I agree with Dustin. Like Fox made those Revenge of the Nerd sequels, which are almost like near family friendly versions of. The first movie is anything but.
No date raping, like.
No date raping. No.
What the hell is this? No Bush.
Sneaking in and stealing. Yeah, stealing panties.
Dustin, I love your Octoman icon. It turns me on.
I can't imagine.
I have an Octoman shaped fleshlight.
I can't imagine just tuning into UHF TV and finding this movie that we just watched. And just being unprepared for it, and just being like, "Wow, like what a weird corner of the universe this came from." Florida is unrecognizable today.
I remember thinking it was a TV movie when I was a kid. Like I didn't really know what TV movies were when I first saw it in 1979. But I remember years later thinking about it, and I was like, oh, and I remember like, oh, that movie where like. The shark is in the tank in the bar and eats that lady who's dancing underwater. Like that must have been like a TV movie, right?
You saw it on TV, and the CBS late movie often showed TV movies. Like they showed Curse of the Black Widow,
and it has the production values of a TV movie.
Yeah,
because for whatever reason, it's like the camera that they're using and like the level of skill and stuff is just very sort of like TV.
When it's on land, it looks like a TV movie, but the underwater sequences are pretty fantastic in this, I think.
It's odd because like there's not a lot of difference between made for TV and regional filming a lot of times to me. You know what I mean? Like at least the look of them or like the crews of them and even like exploitation. It's just like they're the same budgets. It's just where they're going to get played.
Yeah. The only difference really between them is that TV movies will be more likely to use sets. And regional will almost always be shot in actual houses and stuff, unless they happen to have some sort of studio wherever they are.
What I really like about this is that Oceanography Institute or whatever it's supposed to be. It's obviously a middle school. Like it looks like every middle school I've ever been to as a kid. And it's like, no, that's where important scientists are trying to keep sharks from being bounty animals.
So
you know what a bounty animal is?
So what I want to know is, so he swam through the little bog or whatever, and the sharks ignored him, and that was what made that guy say, like, give him the shark necklace. But it's like
Yes.
it's kind of like the force being always with you. Like, he swam through the sharks before he had that necklace. So it's like saying something like, hey, you're immune to this disease, so I'm going to give you as a reward, I'm going to give you a vaccination for it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, no, I already showed that I'm not going to catch it, like.
I like that if this ended with Glinda the Good Witch, she'd be like, the power is in you all along. And he jumps in and goes, no, it wasn't.
What was the last line where they said that, like, why did the sharks eat him? And they said maybe he just cared too much or something.
Yeah.
Well, he took the necklace off. So I
Yeah.
guess that was supposed to be.
The best part is after the necklace was sitting there, it's like this really sad moment, and there's all this blood. And Becca just went, at the end of it. That was her reaction.
I'm obsessed with, like, weird little props and stuff from movies. Like, I wonder who has that necklace now.
Yeah. Is it,
Oh, it
or
was
is it
probably like poorly made. It probably fell apart.
Yeah, but
Somebody's
if I
kid.
keep my necklace on by tomorrow, I'll be able to talk to sharks. So I just have to keep it on a little longer.
Someone's kid ended up with it, and then they just threw it away.
I was
Somewhere there's a Goodwill in like Ocala. You know what I mean? Where it's like there's all these props from William Griffith movies.
Right.
I talked to Kyra Schoen about Night of the Living Dead, and she told me that one of the questions I asked her, I was like, was the dress yours? And she said, yes, it was my dress. And she said it was something from my own wardrobe, and eventually I outgrew it, so we took it to the thrift store. And I thought, imagine that. You buy something from a thrift store, and it's this prop from one of the most beloved films of all time, and you don't even know it. Like that person probably bought it for their kid, who wore it, and then they threw it away.
Someone finished a house with the trowel she killed her mother with. You know what I mean? When it was over, they're like, well, we got to finish leveling this out, so let's take the trowel back.
So okay, Steve wants to know about the cup on a chain.
I'm obsessed by it.
You know what it kind of looked like? Do you guys remember those cups that would be like the liquid would only fill up on the side of the cup, so the cup would look full, and then you could like dump it out, and it would be like, or you'd fill it, and it would, like, I don't know, there was some kind of like, it was trying to be cute, like an optical illusion or whatever. It looked like one of those.
I can't imagine walking around with a full drink on my neck. Like my hands work. Do you know what I mean? But is his stomach so large that the drink comes out to here, so he can just like literally tilt his gut up and drink with it? Like it's very it doesn't seem practical, and it seems like, knowing as sloppy as I am, that I would get drink all over my stomach.
Yeah. But
Thanks to everybody for joining us, by the way, and we remind you to click like on the video, and if you really like us, share.
I've just been told I'm not allowed to have that cup, by the way, just so there's a scoop. I would make too much of too much. Look at this. Like, would this be great? My Pepsi was just here all the time, and I could just.
But it had a lid on it, though. His drink did. It was like a little. You'd unscrew it to drink from it.
Like a fancy canteen. Or sippy cup.
Yeah, he should have had a feed bag too.
My favorite line of this movie you brought up is like, she's like, "Your pigsty island."
Yeah,
that's right. Like just because you live on an island with sharks doesn't mean you can't buy a new refrigerator every once in a while.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Get out of here, you shark lover!
You are a sickie."
She sure turned on him fast. I guess, I mean, like, he rescues her from being raped, and the first thing she does is help her husband steal his shark.
I did a track with Groovy Man, and I used that as a sample in the song. You are a sickie.
That was in the trailer, in the TV promos too, for the movie when it was playing on the CBS Late movie.
Yes. A dramatic moment.
Yep.
Oh man.
Her motivation, that's one of the reasons I love this fucking stupid movie so much, is because she's so weird. Like, you never know where that character is coming from. And as a child, I was very confused by her motivations. I was like, well, why is she so mean all of a sudden? Because he saved her from being raped by those two creepos. Well, one of them was Harold Sakata, and I really enjoyed his Speedo moment. But she really had no reason to be so mean to him. And then like, she would be nice to him, and then she would go inside and talk to her husband, and she'd be like, oh, isn't he weird? Like, you were just nice to him outside, and she kissed him. So
At first, I thought she was going to be like a film noir kind of trapped in a loveless marriage kind of heroine. You know what I mean? And that was going to form, because that's what all movies ever have led me to believe was going to happen. Instead, she's just like really a motivationless bitch, which is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it was, yeah, everybody in the movie, yeah, the only person in the movie who was nice was Butter, the bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels like a real nickname too. Like, I have friends that have names like that. We're like, oh, let's go see Frog or Toad. You know, let's go see these guys. And it's like,
Who was the guy at Sammy's downtown? Sammy's. The
oh yeah,
bartender's name.
Bubba.
Bubba.
Yeah, the one who used to be a wrestler.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
always go in there and talk to him about cigars.
Yeah, he was super nice.
It was so long ago, I forgot his name.
Yeah,
And I've had too many of these.
yeah.
I
I
have
just got
Scott-
sad
I have-
thinking about how good Sammy's was, and now it's gone. So
I know, it's one of the many places in Pittsburgh that's gone forever.
yeah, it's
Pittsburgh was just voted. So I watched this YouTube channel called City Nerd, and Pittsburgh he does top 10 lists, and Pittsburgh came in number 1 2 weeks in a row. Came in number 1. It's the most most affordable walkable city. So it's most cities that you can walk around are like New York, San Francisco, like prohibitively expensive, or you can live somewhere like you can afford to live in Dallas, but you could never walk anywhere. And Pittsburgh is like the most walkable for the least amount of money. That was the reward, the award that it won, and the bridgiest city.
there's only one city that has more bridges. Florence is the only city, or Venice. Sorry, Venice is the only one that has more bridges. That's why the City of Bridges is an old nickname.
So many of them are getting repaired right now because as we found out not too long ago, one of them just collapsed a couple of years ago. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but it was pretty scary. And it coincided with the day that Biden was here, like talking about his thing to renovate bridges.
Yeah.
Like, what, could that have
There
been
were
timed?
people on a bus that dropped a pretty significant distance.
There were
They got
3
hurt
people on the
and they
bus.
lived. Yeah, yeah. This is a year after the sinkhole opened up downtown and took another bus. So,
That's what I always hear about Pittsburgh. Like when I'd ask people, I'd be like, what's Pittsburgh like? They're like, it's like an older, rustier Portland that's falling apart.
yes, I'll give you that.
Such a loving portrait of our city.
Right.
So true.
Yeah, it's Butter's character. If he was one of my friends, Becca would say to me, "Why do they call him Butter?" And I would never know because I never asked these questions. These are important questions that maybe you should ask him back. It's like, ask him. I'm like, he'll tell me if he wants to tell me.
Butter's such a not like I don't know. I think it's weird when people have such like unflattering nicknames.
Yeah,
Like it'll be like a big guy and his name will be Butter or Kitten or something. And it's like,
Yeah.
why do you let yourself be called that?
that's fatty.
Right.
Sometimes you can't stop it. I mean, the people are going to call you what they call you.
Yeah, or
Yeah, Butterball. Yeah, Butterball was his real nickname. Yeah, he was a radio, like a disc jockey.
my brother has tons of friends. Like, he has a friend Gooby, so that's his name. It's just Gooby. Ghost, that's another one of his friends. Yeah, he's like, oh, Ghost is coming down next weekend. Beatty, yeah. There's almost all my brother's friends have strange names like this. Yeah, it's a Pittsburgh thing because it's definitely my hometown thing because everybody's Italian there. So everybody, if you say Tony real loud, like 15 dudes turn around. Go, what the fuck do you want? So you really have to like, you know, there's Fat Tony, Little Tony.
What the fuck do you want? Is everyone in a bad mood there?
All the time, yeah. It's a rough town.
How dare you talk to me?
Yeah. How dare you try to interact with me? Yeah, I saw someone get thrown out of a bar for ordering Magic Hat once. So I mean, it's that kind of town. Kind of like the bar in this movie looks like some bars a baby I grew up in. Mine, it's the woman dancing with the shark.
It was weird because it was really like the tank. The tank was a pretty sophisticated gimmick for that place, but like the rest of the bar was like so run down. It was just a juke. It was like a juke joint, but it had like this really like sophisticated setup with her swimming behind the bar.
And also the pool, the water in there looked way cleaner than you would think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything else is brackish but the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, but the tank.
Well, it's like the tank had like you would expect like the restaurant, the cabaret restaurant or wherever where Peter Carpenter was singing in Point of Terror. You would think that that place would have like a tank. But then you see the tank, but then when it cuts back to the rest of the bar, it's like this crappy little like shack hurricane
in Key West.
Yeah.
And we were to believe that the owner, the one that dressed like Johnny LaRue, that he was sort of like a big shot there. Like this bar made him so much money that, you know, and he was worried about her act, her shark act.
Right. And that's why she was with him. It was like in The Jerk when his Mr. Hartunian's like, you know, why do you ever see a girl? Why do you think she's with me? Because I make a very comfortable living. Like if you're just a business, you can be as repulsive as you want, but as long as you're like an upper middle class businessman, then a gorgeous woman will just glob onto you and ignore all your flaws.
He's like the William Randolph Hearst of this town. He's the richest person. He has the only place to go to, and you know. But you know what? All his wait staff wear the same uniforms. Like they do some things right. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to bar rescue this place and just have him come in and be like the tank looks good, but everything else is a nightmare. Just like, you have a legacy here.
Yeah, the tank actually it was weird. It looked like a TV sometimes. Like you could tell it wasn't, but it was like the way that the window was shaped. It did look like an old tube TV.
Yeah, a lot of other people felt, Harold Sakata felt definitely sweatier. Like when he had the white shirt on, like everybody felt really sweaty in that.
That's a great band name, Mobbed Up Florida Sleeve Kings. If there isn't a band already called that, I'm going to make one. Yeah,
the other thing that was funny is he keeps talking about how people are bored by her act and nobody's watching. Yeah, every time he walks out of the room, everybody starts cheering and like people seem like definitely into it.
Yeah. Well, and also I thought it was just atmosphere. Like, I mean, were people really supposed to be like captivated and staring at her the whole time? Or wasn't she just, I thought she was kind of like, like in a bar, like they'll have a piano guy and they're not there. It's not a piano concert. It's just they're playing the piano in the background,
Yeah.
Like in Coffee, when they're in that bar and there's this topless woman dancing there in a little fire ring. And she's not like, people are talking and she's just there sort of for atmosphere.
Yeah, she's part of the ambiance. Also, it's like, wouldn't he care more about drink sales than people come? Like, isn't that what it's about? Yeah. I'm sorry, in a bar rescue thing. Maybe people were short porn and he's losing.
Oh my God. As a DJ, I've heard that so many times from bar owners, and I've seen that behavior. People that did not know what was actually making them money and what they should actually be concerned about. So that guy was so familiar to me.
He's going to, again, on Bar Rescue, he's going to send Bevmo or wherever that company is. They're going to weigh all the alcohol that gets made that night. We're going to show you how much you're losing. That's totally what's happening in that bar. I can solve the issues of his bar. You don't need to also, if your bar is having trouble, maybe don't put research into ultrasonic sound technology that fucks up sharks. It feels like there's other little things you can do to help your bar, like advertising.
Right. Getting like, coasters printed with the name of the place or something.
Yeah. Like maybe a billboard like a mile away that tells you it's right here. Maybe having two girls to swim instead of just one.
Why were you married to her? Like she
Yeah.
was obviously his prize,
Yeah.
his trophy wife, and she was sort of like this sex object in his little dive bar somewhere. Like this is her idea of making it, because she looked down on Sonny and she was like, "Do you think I'd really care what a garbage picker would think about me?" Like, oh, she's so high class.
Also, like if she really is his trophy wife, like she shouldn't be working anymore. Like if you're going to be stuck, I mean, the traditional, this like Sorrel Brook looking guy that you don't want, she should just be like, yeah, she's just a kept woman. Instead, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, I kind of feel like it was kind of like in the Birdcage, how Robin Williams owned the bar, and then like his husband was like, got to be the star of the show. Like maybe she's like this frustrated like wannabe celebrity, and like so she needs the husband to give her the vehicle, stuff. So
I think you're the only person that has ever compared this movie to The Birdcage, and I love that. I'm going to put that into an IMDb fact that I put in. A lot of people have compared her to Starina from The Birdcage.
Someone earlier said it was Jaws versus Porky's, which I thought was a great comment.
But that's good. When you look on Wikipedia, it's going to be on there. Fuck, that fact is in there. They don't look at the facts, and that fact seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, put it in the trivia.
Yeah.
I like when they put stuff in the trivia that you can tell that the actor like it'll be something for like the movie Criminally Insane, and they'll have this random bit of trivia that'll be like, so and so really liked to eat Pringles, and I'll ask the director to bring Pringles to the set every day, and it's like, okay.
Dustin, when you're in bed with King, he's always on the bottom.
Yeah.
With who?
King.
The bar owner.
An Action Bronson reference.
I like my favorite Florida regional weird fact is like when Herschel Gordon Lewis made movies, he had a deal with KFC, so that like all people ate for the whole shoot was KFC, and like by the end of it, they were sick of it, and that's why Colonel Sanders is in one of his movies, one of his nudie cuties.
Oh yeah,
and that's how he was like, well, I'm giving you all this money for chicken and giving you such a discount, I want to be in your movies. And he's like, okay, you can be in this one. Dude on the Moon, I think, is the one he's in.
Wasn't Colonel Sanders like supposed to be like really volatile and difficult in real life, and like Bridge Bernie and like,
really?
Yeah. He sold his franchises way too early too, so like he really lost out on a lot of the money he should have made. But even before he did that, he used to go to the restaurants, and like if he didn't like the way the food was or the service, he would just start throwing stuff on the floor and screaming at people to clean it up. He also like weirdly diversified at one point before he got bought out, where he started a series of restaurants called Kentucky Fried Beef. There were like 100 locations at one point, and it's real like Berenstain Bears kind of thing to see a Kentucky Fried Beef sign versus Kentucky Fried Chicken. But I assure you, he also bought into another chain after he had bought out, and he didn't realize he had probably a lifetime deal.
Remember, he sold his house and lived with people who bought it.
Yeah, he sold his house, and as his new house was being built, he lived with those people until his house was finished. Yeah, so Colonel Sanders did some wild stuff. Also, Becca's mom met him. She worked at a KFC. She went to his last birthday party, and there's a picture of Becca's mom and Colonel Sanders together, which is amazing.
I love Death Curse of Tartu because that shark scene takes place in a river.
Yeah,
I think that's a point they make in the movie. It was like, what was a shark doing in a freshwater river? But I always loved that part. Which you can get attacked by a shark in a river.
Not enough, because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with sharks, and we would always vacation at the Russian River in Northern California every summer. And I was dying to see a fin or sharks or something. I was so mad, and like, because we were too far away from the ocean.
There used to be bear runs there.
Yeah. We would go to Gurneville sometimes, like to go, because it was the only place where they had the grocery store, like a Safeway or whatever. And Baba, my grandmother, go like, "There's so many fags here."
She was right.
Yeah, she didn't know that was a derogatory term. She just, sort of like how Paul Verhoeven thought that bitches meant women. So when they were shooting RoboCop, he's like, "Okay, the bitches leave."
That's not really a thing.
Yeah, because I saw an interview with Miguel Ferrer and with what's his name, Kenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
Kirby Smith, yeah.
yeah, or Kurtwood, and Paul Verhoeven and the DP, who's like also Dutch or whatever, were sitting. He's like, "So Kurtwood tells the bitches to leave, and then the bitches leave. Do you motion for the bitches to leave first, or do they just leave? Okay, bitches, you leave when Kurtwood tells you to leave." and they were just laughing because he didn't know he was saying something like rude to them. He just thought that they would like bitches meant like prostitute or whatever.
Oh man.
Verhoeven is just genius. Absolute genius. Hey, you guys want to look at some ads?
Yeah.
Here's some stuff that's going to appear on the page soon. You're going to get a preview of it. Look at this double.
I
It was
love
in
it.
the UK. This was in London in 1984. City of the Living Dead. The Fulci film that everybody always tells me how wonderful it is, and I still don't like it.
I'm here to tell you that it is wonderful.
I know. Everyone thinks it's wonderful. I actually saw it on the big screen.
Oh wow.
I went to see it. Bruce from Incredibly Strange Video, he did a screening of it in Dormont at midnight. He did a bunch of cool stuff at midnight. I think I saw The Beyond that way, a couple other things, and I saw City of the Gates of Hell is the cut I saw.
I prefer Gates of Hell as a title.
It sounds more dramatic.
Yeah.
I prefer the title Twilight of the Dead.
Oh wow.
But Richard Rubinstein disagreed, so they had to call it Gates of Hell. And the second feature, Eaten Alive, but not the Eaten Alive we're thinking of.
Yeah.
Sam.
It is. It's the Italian cannibal movie.
Umberto Lenzi.
Eaten Alive.
Was the Eaten Alive was released in the U.S. in theaters, right? It was called Doomed to Die, I think. Because I remember because the poster is that woman, she's all painted like gold, like at the end of Eaten Alive, like they dress her up like a goddess or whatever, and she escapes.
I think it only played like a grindhouse in New York City.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah.
I can't find it playing anywhere.
Like Cannibal Ferox is the one I was thinking of that played the most in the U.S. because it played as trap them and kill them or make them die slowly.
Yeah, that one actually played more places than New York City, but Doomed to Die, that's a tough one to find. All right, so that's enough of that one. How about this one? Big Meat Eater.
The Canadian musical.
You can take that any way you want to.
Yeah.
What's Big Meat Eater?
It's a Canadian science fiction musical.
Oh, I thought it was like, is that what they called Cannibal Man or something?
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
Oh, he's out of sight, isn't he? Neil
You can
Diamond.
do both of those, see Big Meat Eater and then go see Neil on the same night.
And money talks.
I think Dustin's right about I don't like the title City of the Living Dead because it promises too much. Gates of Hell doesn't.
Yeah.
Gates of Hell tells you what the movie's about. City of the Living Dead, you expect it to be first of all, it's not a city, and second, there's like barely any living dead.
You don't like all those old dudes just sitting around a bar hanging out when cracks appear on the wall?
Right. And then he's like, damn it, it's a brand new building too, brand new construction. Yeah.
Vince, I know this is one of your faves. I was thinking of you when I clipped this ad. Here's another beautiful thing.
Oh, wow.
Masterpiece or nasty piece.
Bill, how much do you love that Bloomsbury font for the theater? It's like...
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's almost like Pac-Man font.
Yes, it is the Pac-Man font, I think.
Yeah, it's really close. I love it.
It's almost as distinctive as the Thompson twins font.
I like that there was a vote, a masterpiece or a nasty piece. The nation decides.
That reminds me of like how they called The Prowler, the film that shocked America.
Sure, surely it is.
Rosemary's Killer.
Right.
Oh, it's not R Beyond the Door, but
No.
I thought this was pretty funny.
Tom
man.
Berenger and Marcello Mastroianni were in a movie together.
There's the proof.
Liliana Cavani.
They were in Beyond the Door.
I don't.
Oh, I
See,
know what
I
this
thought
is, Bill told me. So
this is sort of like your cue to tell
Yeah.
us everything we need to know about hot fantasies.
Black Candles, the Jose Larraz movie, and Hot Fantasies maybe is a better title for it because Black Candles makes it sound like it's going to be somewhat classy, and it is not. I mean, it's just like wow, it really goes for it. It's like there's a cult in a British castle, like every Jose Larraz thing, like right. There's like a mansion in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
It just happens to be a
beautiful.
cult there. And it's kind of like Rosemary's Baby-ish in some ways, but then it's mostly just all adult scenes.
I wonder if that's the theater from like, American Werewolf.
Showing See You Next Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm shocked that it played theaters. Two, shocked that it had this alternate title, and also it's has like a little old Canon logo in the right corner, so they must have picked this up for distribution over there.
Ted, do you mean the movie about the bear that talked, John Stryker's? Because coincidentally, I saw that at the drive-in as well.
The Evil Dead.
No, The Evil Dead. Oh well.
See, I thought all TED Talks were about that movie, and I got really excited because I like that movie.
I would have killed to have seen The Evil Dead in theaters. I remember when that was out and everybody was talking about it. They wrote about it in Fangoria. That was my peak Fangoria years. Was like, from 1980 until 1984-ish. And wow, no one, of course, would take me to see The Evil Dead. I would have loved to have seen it at the drive-in.
I got to rent it. The adults in my life were under the impression that all horror movies were like Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe, Roger Corman things. So they would rent me the craziest shit. And I don't think they had a concept of like R-rated, like nasty R-rated movies. So I could watch anything I wanted.
They let you watch Black Candles when you were like 6.
Yeah. Right. Oh my God. Too much Lucio Fulci.
I call this the Sam Dream Night. Right there. Look at that.
So yeah, Piccadilly Circus is like Times Square. It's totally gentrified now. Like I was
Gotta be.
I was there with my friend, and I was like, "Show me the theater from American Werewolf in London," and it's like a Chipotle now or something. Like,
Oh boy.
You didn't see any mayhem, did you? No one's head got knocked off right in front of you.
no, it was super clean. It was all tourists. It was all like just polished up. Everything was like a chain restaurant or like an ice cream shop or like it was bougier than hell.
Did you ever think about that scene in American Werewolf? Like, there were people that were just innocent bystanders there, and they saw horrible things happen in front of them. Like,
There's a movie over here.
Yeah, but they're British. They'll get over it, like
It's
they
like-
did in the rest of the movie.
people who saw shit like that in Nam lived with it for the rest of their lives.
Mhm.
These people were just out having a shopping or like going to the movies or something, and it happened right in front of them.
I'm into this double feature though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have seen The Beyond on the big screen too. And I'm also not a huge fan of that movie. I know it's sacrilegious to say these things, but
It's okay. I understand.
No, I mean, like, it's the problem is me. I know it is. I know the problem is me.
You like House by the Cemetery, though, right?
Yes, I love House by the
Okay.
Cemetery. That's the one I would love to see. And probably if I would watch The Beyond again, I mean, I do think it's a beautiful movie. All his movies are beautiful, in their own weird sort of way. I want I want too hard for them to make sense.
Oh no,
They don't.
no,
They
they
totally
can't.
don't.
The Beyond was I saw that when you remember when Quentin Tarantino's company like put it out in
Yeah,
like
that's when I
90,
saw it.
98 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it at the theater. The whole theater, I had always watched it on video and stuff, and I was under the impression that The Beyond was a very serious film. And when I saw it with an audience and people were just laughing their asses off at like David Warbeck, like side-eyeing Liza and like, and all this stuff. And I was like, this movie's actually really good. It's really funny.
I saw it at the Warhol.
Oh wow.
The Warhol played it, but I don't think it was that 97 release. I saw that. That was another movie that Bruce did at midnight, The Beyond. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was great to look at, but the whole thing just really it never did what I wanted it to do.
Oh.
That's how I know the problem is me. The problem is me for wanting it to do something, and I didn't just go with it. So one day I'll love The Beyond as much as everybody else.
Whoa.
How about this movie? This is something I didn't know existed until I
Me
found
either.
this ad.
Udo Kier did all the classic monsters.
Yeah. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
oh my God.
I feel like in real life, Udo Kier is probably a lot like his character in Breaking the Waves.
I told you he's my friend Marston's neighbor in LA. Udo Kier. Can you believe it?
They used to have this film festival in Portland that was like this sort of like hipster, kind of hippie, hipster, druggy film festival called Fruit Farm. And Udo Kier was the guest of honor one year, and he was just wasted, like vomiting in a field, wasted the whole time.
It's David's starting to understand my point of view.
Well, and also it's just the thing about The Beyond that's kind of stupid is that they just it's like anything for an effect, even if it doesn't make sense. Like for instance, the guy goes and he finds the book, and then the evil wants to take the book back, so it sends tarantulas to eat his face and then makes the housing plans in the book disappear. Like, why wouldn't the evil just make the book disappear? Why would it make the book available and then wait for someone to try to get the book and then go to all these machinations to take the book away? Or like, why was, the woman who was like working at the hotel, like she seemed to be in on the evil, but then later on she like succumbed to the
And she's like, no, I don't want to go back.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about that chick who was in Inferno, and then she was like kind of had like that weird kind of thing with Joe the plumber, and then
Right.
and she was like being, and then why was like Liza so mean to the help? Like she was like, by her own admission, she was about to go on welfare and she was unsuccessful at everything she tried. And then she inherits this hotel and she starts acting like this like lady of the manor, like bitching out the help and stuff.
It's because she was so close to evil, it was starting to corrupt her.
Which keys? Bitch, just this is a free house. Just let these people do what they've been doing.
I love when she says, you have carte blanche, but not a blank check. Like, huh? Oh my God. And my favorite thing about The Beyond, and Roger Ebert talked about this in his review of the movie, it made me feel so good, is that part where they find the corpse, the rotted corpse, and they hook it up to an oscillator. Right. And you're like, oh my God, why would you even put something on there?
It's like, well, because it was Al Cliver's like pet hobby was to hook things up, because he's like, I'm going to hook it up to my machine. And David Warbeck's like, oh, you and that oscillator or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like
anyway, Blood of Dr. Jekyll.
My high school friend, whenever this conversation, but I'll let it go.
What did you say, Sam?
Say that again. It feels like I have a friend that someone is bullying in this conversation.
No. Oh, Sam, you know
I
that.
feel like I'm like, but he's so nice. And
Oh my God, the Beyond is so fat and so stupid. You're not
Beyond-
friends with
if
him,
you
are
knew the Beyond like I knew the Beyond, you don't know him like I do.
you?
I know that your way is the right way.
Yeah, no, it's not the right. It's a really ridiculous movie. I just love it. It just makes
Do you-
me
I do
happy.
love Fulci. Somebody said that I free your mind. Fulci rocks. I do love Fulci.
Yeah.
It's I just some of his stuff's better than the others. I don't think it's a shit movie. I would never say it was a shit movie. It's just I just don't feel that same passion that I feel about Zombie.
All right.
Like
I'll give you that.
Zombie is like, or even what was the one we saw at the drive-in?
Wizard and Woman Skin.
Oh my god, I fucking loved that movie. Like every frame of that movie was awesome.
Do you
And it
guys?
didn't make any more sense than The Beyond.
Yeah. Well, it Lizard in a Woman's Skin doesn't make like once you watch the movie and you know the outcome, then when you go back and watch the movie, you see her acting strange when like nobody's looking, and you're like, why would she be like acting innocent? You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't play. Do you guys remember back in the old days of like Fangoria and stuff where like, they would have those people that would put ads in the back, like Video Search of Miami, that would sell like VHS dubs off Japanese Laserdisc. And there was this guy, and I think he was from Pennsylvania, and his name was Bob Gallucci. And he used to sell stuff. Anyway, I used to buy tapes from him all the time. And he told me that whenever anybody would order The Beyond, he would actually sit and watch The Beyond being dubbed. And he couldn't stop watching The Beyond. And he was obsessed with The Beyond and thought it was better than Suspiria and better than like all this stuff. And I was like, kind of, it's good.
Oh my god, better than Suspiria?
Yeah, he was
I
like,
won't
he's
even go that far.
That's a question for Sam. Is it better than Suspiria?
No, it's not.
But why? Why isn't it better?
They're different movies. Like Suspiria is like a more of a spectacle, and it's like a standard. Like it sets a standard in films. The Beyond is like a very different film. In the same way that like it's hard for me to compare Argento and Fulci.
Also, Suspiria was just written by two people, probably just one.
Yeah.
And The Beyond is one of those things where it's like Dardano Sacchetti wrote a draft and then this person did it. And also like as nonsensical as Suspiria is, I feel like it makes sense to Dario Argento or Daria Nicolodi or whatever. Whereas I think that like in The Beyond, like he would just throw things in because he thought that they seemed cool. But like for instance, why does Liza keep remembering that like the blind woman runs out the door? Like they go through that whole thing where she's remembered like the blind woman runs out the door, and then she thinks about it, and then she thinks about the blind woman running out the door again, and then she thinks about and it's like I feel like Fulci just threw that in because he's like, oh, in all of Dario's movies, somebody always has a detail they can't quite remember. This is the part where the detail happens, and it's like
But
the
I
detail
think
doesn't make any sense.
Someone explained it to me that like Argento was an artist that sometimes was a craftsman, and Fulci was a craftsman that sometimes locked into being an artist. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they
Yeah, I think that's pretty
different,
accurate.
different aims of what they were trying to do, and I kind of dig that. I will say though, there's some shots in The Beyond that stick with me, like when you first see the blind girl and the cars like coming at her at full speed, and she's just
I love that.
on that highway. Like that shot's awesome. Like that's really good. The end of it looks beautiful.
That looked really exciting on a big screen.
Yeah.
It was amazing seeing that because you don't realize what an impact that image has when you see it on a TV screen, like if you rented it in the 80s.
Also, you'd rather hang out with Fulci than Argento. Like Fulci, I mean, Fulci seems like he you wouldn't be friends with him for very long because you'd have a falling out because he was an asshole. But he just seems like really like unpolished, very like unpretentious, uncompromising. Whereas like Argento's like a pretentious, like he thinks he's better than you and he'll work with you and then he'll just change his number and like never talk to you again. And you'll always think like, are you like, homeboy who did the music for Inferno, I forget it. Keith Emerson is just like, I was like, did I do a bad job? Was Argento mad at me? Like, and Argento's just like, no, I don't want you in my life anymore.
I love both of them, but I'm hot for Fulci. I'm not hot for Argento.
Well, Argento talks in his book repeatedly about how skinny he is and how like Bertolucci used to walk up and put his hand around his arm like this, and he said he could get like his whole hand around his arm, and he'd be like, "You're gonna die. You're too skinny." And he would save him all the time. Man, the book's crazy though. There's some stuff in there that like makes a lot more sense. He makes a lot more sense when you read Fear, because a lot of it is like Mike, like you said, like when he was making Bird, he was like, it has to be this way or no way. This is the only way. And like he's like, these were people. He's like, now that I'm older, I realize these people have been making movies for 30 years. I'd never made anything, and I'm like in their face screaming at them. He also claims that his father is the one that got into the fight with what's the composer that did Morricone, and that's why he didn't work with Morricone until Stendhal syndrome. He's like, my father really told him that the music he did for the movie was shit. I'm like, I think it might have been you. I don't think it was your dad, but your dad's dead. We can't check with him, you know.
I mean, it worked out fine. I mean, like Goblin was like, you know, so good.
He at one point he even says like, I was just gonna quit being a director before the 5 days and just make music and just do my own thing. And it was like, he's like, and I didn't care if anyone followed me. It's like, yeah, you came for money, so it was a little easier to make these decisions. Where Fulci, like I think we talked about before, like Fulci didn't get to go to a fancy school, and he didn't get to be a film critic, and he worked. You know what I mean? Like, and he was a working director.
Yeah,
he get to like pick and choose his movies, and you know, be an auteur. I like what's coming up on the screen here, Bill. Just so you know, like this is.
I was waiting for you to notice.
Another Sam double feature. I don't think I'd be able to handle both of these in the same night, though. It'd be the kind of I would be the most hyperactive ever if to encounter both of these in the theater. Too much. The limit, as you would say.
That is the limit.
And there's a full contact martial arts demonstration by the Kung Fu Club. If you go, but this must have been because when did England start doing that weird thing where like you can't show nunchucks in a movie and like
around here?
Okay.
Because like my favorite is they don't even allow Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to be called that. They're Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think it was right here because they were like, kids are going to get nunchucks and throwing stars and kill each other with them.
Well, that's why I love seeing this ad series that I've been doing from London on the Groovy Doom Facebook page. There are so many movies like The Beyond and City of the Living Dead, and you think, like, what was actually on the screen when these people saw this? There's a couple British people that follow this series, and one of them, I can't remember who, so sorry, whoever it was, told me that he went to see The Evil Dead when it first was the first time it appeared in London, which was in early '83, I think, and he said they actually showed the uncut version, but they accidentally showed the uncut version, even though the BBFC had done this like extensive edit of The Evil Dead. So they did get to see the actual uncut print in London. But I mean, they cut so much stuff out of those movies.
Oh, it's crazy.
I think now it's weird. When I was there, they have this repertory theater in London called the Prince Charles Cinema, and I was like, oh, I've always wanted to go there. But when I was there, they were only showing a double feature of Neon Demon and Salo. And I was like, no, I am not going to go sit through those two movies. And does Prince Charles know that you're showing this in his theater? You know, like, But I think when you're a royal, your name is just up for grabs.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can just call like something the Prince Charles Cinema or like, you know, the Queen Anne vape shop or whatever. Like, it's going to be like you're a public figure. But yeah, Salo and Neon Demon, I was like, I'm going to hate my life if I watch these two movies.
That's a rough double feature.
But like, you know, they show stuff like that in theaters now and it's like uncut and stuff. So I think Britain is largely sort of like America now in terms of like censorship and stuff.
Now you just
Salo did play when it was contemporary, it played London, and you have to. I mean, I think it played. Somebody explained it on the page, and I'm so glad when people comment about this stuff because I learned so much from them. It was there was a different classification if you were a private club and you exhibited these films. Like you didn't have to submit the film to the BBFC, so people they would charge you a membership fee, but you could go watch movies uncut like Solo. Like they weren't considered pornography, even though things in Solo are pornographic. It's pretty amazing that someone could say that's not pornographic, but they did watch the uncut version of Solo in London, which is pretty amazing to me because I mean you went to jail over that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that got prosecuted in the video nasties.
Yeah, it wasn't against the law to buy it, right? It was against the law to sell it.
Yeah. Well, the punishment was worse. If you
Well, for the
sold it.
original ones, the first 39, even if you owned them, it was punishable. Even if you were a private person who had them.
And then there are some movies that were on the video nasties list that you could tell they just threw them on there because they thought they would be worse than they really are, and
Yeah.
like they're actually not really that bad at all. But
Human
Last House on
Experiments.
Dead End Street's on it because they put anything with Last House on it. But
Last House on Dead End Street is nasty.
That is one of the most violent movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, but like Possession's on it. It's upsetting, but I don't know if it that many. It's not like the Friday 13th where kids were like, "Oh, I want to rent Possession."
Well, I told you that they had this whole thing where they didn't want you like they didn't like these things being on video because they didn't want people to be able to just watch certain scenes without watching the whole movie. Like they were like, you can't put Straw Dogs on video. If people go watch it in a theater, they won't jerk off to the rape scene because in context of the movie, it's very horrifying. But on video, they could just fast forward to that scene and just watch it over and over. So it's weird, like weird little nosy, like policing of morality among.
Well, that
people.
scene's
It's
also
like,
upsetting to people because she likes it.
well, I mean, it's like her ex or something who she
Yeah.
used to have like rough sex with or something. But
Yeah.
maybe we could try to put it's so. I was wondering if maybe we could have like Tinto Rera could have been a sequel to Straw Dogs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so because she's getting her after her husband dumps her or whatever, because he's like, you fucking small town slut, you made me shoot everybody, and then she's like, I'm going to Mexico.
It's another episode in her life.
Right.
Oh man, Mutant.
And speaking of the movie that shocked America, Rosemary's Killer. Here it is with on a double feature with Mutant, featuring Wings Hauser and Bo Hopkins.
Who came back together for Nightmare at Noon, which just came out from Arrow, and it's almost the same movie. They come to a small town and there's monsters in the small town. It's very similar.
She really can't, Steve. It's tragic.
I had Mutant on video for years and years and years as a kid, and I never watched it.
It's all right.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good, I think.
I don't know why. I think I just liked The Being, and I just every time I thought about watching Mutant, I just would watch The Being again.
Well, this was interesting because, in America, as Vince pointed out, it was called Night Shadows. But on home video, it became Mutant because I know I saw it under that title on VHS. But here's another movie that was called Mutant. It had a totally different title, Forbidden World.
Oh, wow.
And Sam, of course. That's Forbidden World is not why I showed this ad.
Yeah.
It is your favorite Fulci movie of all time.
I'm gonna bully Conquest. Like,
go for it.
Oh,
It's fine. It's a very believable movie. I get why people don't like it.
it was so foggy.
Oh, well, you know what's funny? I bought 2 upgrades of it now. Like I went from VHS and the DVD was supposed to be better, and then when it came out on I have 2 different Blu-rays, and each time Blu-ray that came out, they said we've made it sharper and it's even foggier. It's like they poured fog over it and filmed it with more fog. They got like a digital fog filter. The fog.
Vince likes Mutant better than The Being.
Oh
I don't know. I don't know which one I would say I like better.
man, that's a good question.
I like how the monster or the alien or whatever in the Forbidden World kind of looks like he's smiling.
I was really annoyed because you don't really see anything in the movie that looks quite like this, if I remember correctly.
Is it like a Screamers thing? Like New World would do that, right? Like just be like, you're gonna see a man turn inside out. Okay, quick, make a trailer showing someone being turned inside out.
Give
Yeah,
Wisdom
except you
Ornorthy
don't.
on the phone. Shoot the trailer.
But
I
did
think
Conquest play theaters in the United States?
I do believe it did, but not a ton. It was just surprising because it's right at the right time for like your played theaters, you know.
It was Conquest was like the kind of theatrical release that like a lot of the movies got that like Joe Bob Briggs would review.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you're like, really? Like, did that play in theaters? I guess it did because he reviewed it, but it was like, it just, kind of got like little, like, I don't think Conquest got like a national, I don't think it showed up on like the variety list or anything.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing about Mutant is that's the last movie of Film Ventures International. That's after that movie didn't do as well. That's when Montour disappeared with $1 million from the safe, never to be seen again.
He got tired of being sued.
Yeah.
Over Beyond the Door and Beyond the Door 2.
And Great White, too.
Yeah.
Great White, yeah. Then he didn't get sued over Beyond the Door 2. He used the money from that to pay off the lawsuit for Beyond the Door.
Yeah.
And didn't we figure that also that the Grim Reaper must have had some figured into this?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, and you were so right, Mike Justice. Mike told me that the soundtrack for the American version, the Grim Reaper, was much better than the soundtrack for the original cut of the film, Anthropophagus. And I totally agree. He
just took those cues that like Kingdom of the Spiders, Jerry Goldsmith, Twilight Zone, CBS library music, and like it's jazzes it up so much.
I don't think you can see my Beyond the Door shirt I have.
Yeah.
Speaking of Beyond the Door.
I do love it.
Oh yeah, that's another kind of weird. So we were talking about sequels, like made for TV sequels, made for video sequels. What about like something like Beyond the Door 2, where they're just like, it's got the same kid in it, the actor who played the kid. Okay, we'll just say it's Beyond the Door 2, and it's like nothing like it.
And Beyond the Door 3, aka a mock train.
Now, were you guys saying that? Yeah, you were saying that they're making a sequel to Beyond the Door with Juliet Mills.
Yes.
Is Maxwell Caulfield going to be in it?
I hope so.
You can only hope. Bill, you want to see what came in the mail this week? A lot came in.
Yes.
Vinegar Syndrome sale. A lot of stuff came in. I'm real excited. A lot of people might have these, but I didn't have Surf too.
Oh my god! I almost showed this ad.
Yeah, the back cover is amazing.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That is beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Embossed, yeah. Super excited that exists. Do I need these Amityville movies? No, but did I get them? Yeah. We got Amityville: A New Generation, Amityville: The Evil Escapes, Amityville: Dollhouse, which I really like, and Amityville 92, It's About Time, which is my favorite.
Are you saying that you ordered these and nobody just sent you these?
Yeah, I actually paid for these.
Which one is the one that's not even in Amityville? Like they just go to California and bring like a clock or something?
That's It's About Time, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a clock from. It also has the sweatiest sex scene I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, that's right. I read that when you wrote about it on your.
Becca came and she goes, "Why are they so wet?" A movie we showed on the show, Disconnected, which I really like.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I need to get that. I did like that movie.
Bill, you ready for this?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Norman J. Warren's Suspiria.
And speaking of Suspiria, Trauma.
Oh, I have that one.
Yeah, beautiful. This is the Mexican name for this is Violator Infernal, which means
I've read about this movie, but I never saw it.
Bill, you're
And
gonna
of
love
course,
it.
you wrote about it.
Yeah, it's something else.
Oh, I look at her hair.
That's what this is almost exactly what happens in the movie. It's about a
I hope
criminal
so.
who is given eternal life by Satan if he snorts magic cocaine and has to kill somebody every day and carve 666 into somewhere in their body. Yeah, it's up there. The Scary of 61st, which is pretty wild. It's kind of like a Rosemary's Baby-ish thing about Jeffrey Epstein's apartment. And this
It
is
looks
actually
like The Tenant.
yeah, kind of and it has a reflective cover that you can see yourself in. Really nice packaging for that. And then here's some stuff that came in. This is from Lionsgate. This is Coliseum, which is a History Channel show. And finally, super excited, Blue Underground. Do I need a 4K of Justine? By Just Franco? Oh my God, yeah, the zoom's going to be even better in 4K. So super excited about that. And Eugenie, aka Philosophy in the Boudoir, another.
Does that have is that the one that Christopher Lee was like, he didn't know? I didn't know.
It's not this one, but oh yeah, this is the one. Yeah, where
Yeah.
he was.
He said that all the time.
Well, it's because it was like Eugenie and her journey into perversion, and they just left off her journey into perversion part of the script when they gave it to him.
Well, when he made, there's another movie that I just wrote about on the site, Dark something. It's like a '86 movie he did for Euroscene with Franco, and I guess supposedly he pulled Franco aside at the beginning. He said, "This isn't another one of your porno movies, is it?" And he's like, I never did that to you before. And I'm gonna say he did. Yeah, I don't think Christopher Lee's that easy to fool, but you know. Oh, Bill, thank you.
Okay. Plus Motel. What was Motel?
I don't know.
Where's Motel? Oh,
Can you see it, Mike?
yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. The Surf 2 came out in.
Well, this was 84, but I think
Okay,
it played the
84?
States in 83, maybe.
Motel.
Is Surf 2 a zombie movie?
It has zombies in it, but it's like a comedy version of a beach movie. Motel came out in '84. It is, let's see, it has Luis Mendoki directed it. It's got all like foreign names in it. It's about a discovery of a mutilated body of a wealthy woman leads a detective to an isolated motel. Mystery, thriller, crime, drama.
Oh.
Female nudity, full frontal nudity. Yeah, this is the Jalo. So it's a Mexican film, which is kind of wild. I don't know nothing about it, so that's pretty crazy. It seems like a strange movie to play with Surf 2, but Surf 2 really doesn't make sense. Oh my God, look at that.
Is this Sam Panico night or what?
I was obsessed with finding this movie because it was impossible to find for the longest time. And this must have been right before Canon bought Thor and EMI, like a couple months before. This would have been released as a Canon video. Yeah. It is a magical world I'll never want to leave.
Is Sarah by Starship the theme song to that? We're
Yes.
really nice.
Dream will come true. Yeah.
Starship. You know, no one speaks of Starship anymore. That truly saddens.
No, that we were just talking about it the other day because I was talking about Mannequin and like some people were like, Grace Slick doesn't like her Starship days, and I was like, Grace Slick's an old bag. She needs to shut up.
Last I heard of her, she was shooting at people from her roof.
Oh my God, she's so.
Remember that?
She grew up to be like what's her face from New Year's Evil.
She's Roz Kelly.
Yeah, Grace
She
Slick and
she
Roz
shot
Kelly.
up some people too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Grace Slick was like on her roof shooting at people at some point, and the police were there. It was like a standoff thing. It wasn't.
That's the thing you can only do as a celebrity. Like if I like shot people from my roof, like you would never see me on the show again.
Oh, you would be, yeah.
Yeah, I would be shot. Like I would be like they wouldn't even ask questions.
You'd be dead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be dead.
You can't even joke about stuff like that anymore.
No.
Like you know, in like I was thinking about like in the movie The Truth About Cats and Dogs, Uma Thurman asks Janine Garofalo, she's like, you know, are you depressed? Is there anything, you know? And Janine Garofalo goes, yeah, well, it's nothing that a rooftop and an AK-47 won't cure. And like they would never make a joke like that in a movie now.
Yeah.
I got my first ever Facebook warning this week. I was so pissed too because I just totally fell right into it. I'll tell you guys because it's really kind of funny. I found, you know, in my ad searches, I'm in 1984, and that was right when Dead or Alive started to make it big in the UK. And there was a story in there. And it was actually, it was a little interview with Wayne Hussey from The Mission. And he was formerly of Sisters of Mercy. He was also in Dead or Alive. Like right before he was in Sisters of Mercy, he was in Dead or Alive. And he was actually is credited with a couple songs on their first album. He was their guitarist. And he had left Dead or Alive at this point, but he was talking in the papers about an incident where Dead or Alive and Nick Hayward, who was the singer from Fun Boy 3, they were recording in the same recording studio, and Dead or Alive cornered him in the bathroom and like attacked him with a fire extinguisher. And like they trapped him in a stall and were spraying him with a fire extinguisher. And the reason they did that is because he was a guest reviewer for an issue of Smash Hits, and he reviewed all the new singles, and he gave the Dead or Alive single a really nasty review. And what he said was, he made a comment about Pete Burns's appearance, and he said, has he got AIDS? And it was like really offensive. So, and of course they were really angry at him for saying this. So they attacked him in the bathroom in this recording studio. But the comment I made was, I said, I would have hit him with a fire extinguisher. And I got this message from Facebook maybe an hour after I made that comment. And they were like, your comment goes against our community standards and you're inciting violence. I said, really? You realize this was from 1984.
Oh yeah, they get mad if you quote a movie. If you just say something so blasé, like I got a warning one time because I said men are pigs.
I was in a Facebook or Instagram live talking about bad songs the other day, and I said something like about the question was like, "What's your least favorite song?" And I said, for someone that grew up loving Aerosmith, like that song "Pink" is fucking horrible. Fuck Aerosmith for ever putting that song out. And it literally gave me a warning. It said other people have written comments like this, and people have been upset about it. And I was like, I think everybody can agree Pink's the fucking worst song ever made. And I put it on. I got a strike. So
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like I start to like let their weird AI sort of thing kind of like gaslight me. I'm like, maybe I'm just a really hostile, violent person, and I just don't even realize it. And like, you know, and I'll literally say like, I was going down, I had a whole list of like infractions, you know, and I was going back and looking at them, and they're all just like really blasé. Like one time I was describing like the movie The Heart is Deceitful above all things, and I was like, oh yeah, Ozzy Argento plays a white trash Tennessean. It's a really bad casting choice. And they're like, don't say white trash. I'm like, don't tell me not to say that. That's a thing. Like it exists. Like I'm not insulting anybody.
Oh, yeah, it's scary.
Oh, speaking of, so this is something. So you remember we were talking about like esoteric, like nerdy stuff that nobody else cares about. I took a DNA test from Ancestry.com, and I was going down a list of like my relatives that I'm related to through my mom, and I came across Laura Albert, who's the woman who wrote the J.T. Leroy books, like that. So she was right. She was pretending that she was like this, like, you know, fucked up little boy who's like parents, you know. Anyway,
Yeah.
and then it got turned in, and then so they made a movie about her, and Laura Dern played her. Anyway, she's like my fifth cousin.
Oh wow.
And so I was
Like
like,
Justice,
well,
that is amazing.
well, it's funny because my friends and I were like obsessed with JT Leroy and thought it was hilarious. And like when that it was outed as being like this woman, and like we even wrote like a parody of The Heart is Deceitful, and we called it like and I even put a reference to that in The Trouble with Barry, where like somebody's like, oh, I loved you in The Grits Are Greasy Above All Things when you played that your thick
I
European
noticed.
monotone really added to the character. And then it turns out that like I'm somewhat like related to her. But anyway, nobody got it. I told everyone I was related, and they're like, "Who's that? What are you talking about? Are
What do
you
you
like-"
think of Anthony Godby Johnson?
I don't.
He
Is
was
that your
another one of
relative?
those. It was another one of those cases where he wrote this book where he claimed he was a 13-year-old AIDS patient,
Oh wow.
and
Oh, yeah. Is that
you
your
know what
cousin?
this is. Yeah, and he was like, and his book was in like on Oprah's book
Oh,
club,
that
and it
Million
was
Little Pieces or whatever was his book.
No,
yes.
that was
No, that was the other guy that
yeah,
lied
yeah.
about everything. But Anthony Godby Johnson was supposedly a 13-year-old AIDS patient who was languishing, and he was an adopted child who had been pimped out by a police officer, foster parent, who apparently was murdered in prison. And he had all this like extensive back history. And he only ever talked to people on the phone, though. It turned out even the publisher of the book had never met him. And it ended up like it was the invention of this woman, and her name was Vicky Fraginals. And she was like, she would make these phone calls and she would pretend to be Anthony, and she got like really important people hooked on this. The author Paul Monet, who was an AIDS activist, like he was dying, and he spent the last few months of his life obsessed with Anthony because he was this other AIDS patient, and like he was a child, and they were like talking on the phone constantly, and Paul Monet ignored his entire family, like his partner and everybody. Like he was talking on the phone to this woman who was pretending to be a child. It was really bizarre. I'm obsessed with that case.
Oh my god.
They made a movie about it. Robin Williams was in it. So I
Oh, The
never
Night
saw it.
Listener.
Yes, that's about Anthony Johnson.
The Night
Sort of.
Listener. The Night Listener is one of those movies that's like when people ask like what's a movie that's widely considered to be a bad movie that you just don't understand why people think it's that bad. Like not like something like Showgirls, but like The Night Listener. Like The Night Listener is regarded as being an incredibly bad movie, and I can agree that it maybe could be a lot more entertaining and doesn't really tick all the boxes as far as a thriller is concerned. But I don't think it's really that bad. It's pretty well acted. It's pretty well directed. Like,
I haven't
but
seen.
yeah, what's her face is in it playing that Toni Collette.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's the movie The Woman in the Window. Did you guys see that?
No.
The guy who wrote that, AJ Finn is the person that wrote it. He was really a book editor named Dan Malloy, and he has lied about having a degree from Oxford, who his family is. He claimed he had cancer for the longest time, and his brother would answer his emails, and people are like, "This is you because your brother writes just like you." And he's like, "Well, we're brothers." Like he misspells the same words as you. It's also coming from your IP address. And he would always talk about his death. His mom, dad, and brother died multiple times that people could track. And he would like fake all these, and the whole story, Woman in the Window, is all about fake things happening. The funny thing is, it's almost the same movie as Copycat and Saving April. They're like literally the same movie. It's wild. For a movie that's about stealing identity, it's almost like a confession within the movie. And yeah, it's just this his story of his life is way more interesting than the actual movie they made of it. Amy Adams is the new like girl in trouble in all these movies, like that Nocturnal Animals. She's always like, they're kind of like, they're not erotic thrillers and they're not giallo, but they kind of are.
Yeah, they're weird. They're like chick flick giallos or something.
Yeah, like
Strange
Gone Girl.
subgenre.
Gone Girl's a good example of chick flick giallo.
Yeah. Gone Girl somebody was asking me because remember when I wrote the top 10 list of my favorite sexy thrillers, and somebody was like, when did they stop making thriller? Like when did they? And I was like, I can't really pinpoint, but I can say that I think probably like Gone Girl is like the only like Gone Girl is the closest thing in recent years to like what would have been like a 90s type movie. Um, it was definitely kind of a throwback to that because they haven't been making movies like that, but it didn't really spawn a lot of like copycats. Like there doesn't seem to be like a lot of other like like they have Netflix ones, but they don't have like David Fincher level like
Yeah.
other thrillers coming out.
I love whenever post Basic Instinct and Fatal Attraction, there's all these directed video ones happen, and then all of a sudden the Italian filmmakers started making them too, and they're just giallo, but like they're like, oh yeah, these are erotic thrillers now.
Like the honey, the Lucio Fulci Taste of Honey or Touch of
Yeah.
Honey or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the Devil's Honey.
Devil's
yeah,
Honey, yes.
Yeah, that's one, and like
You were getting there.
the Washing Machine, and like there's a few other ones that are like, yeah, you can put whatever title you want on them.
Mhm.
Also, like Joe D'Amato is the king of that, where he made so many Cinemax ones, like 11 Days, 11 Nights, that just are like, I love them, but I also realize that I'm like Stockholm syndrome with a lot of Italian directors, where I'm just like, these are genius, and like, no, they're probably not.
I know. I think that like Joe D'Amato's blackmailing you or something because you like will go to bat for this dude in like such a weird light. Like, you know, I'm like, no, he's an incredibly bad filmmaker and his movies are all bad. And you're like, no, they're wonderful. There is no body because there was no murder. Like,
His cinematography is great, though. I mean, there's a couple movies that he did on before that where it's like, wow, this is really good. And I really think Beyond Darkness, the Bo Omega, is a really good movie. I think that movie broke his heart when it wasn't a success, and he's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to make boring and shitty movies. And
yeah.
like glimmers of what I once was.
All those bad like Day for Night ones where they like forgot to put the night on, so it's like Laura Gemser walking around a beach and like at noon, and she's like, "Oh, it's so dark out here. We need to find shelter."
That's like hearing that is like hearing that I'm about to put a warm blanket that's been and just coming out of the dryer. This is my comfort. Seeing Laura Gemser walk around this right after someone's been killed or had sex with is like, that's my happy place.
I liked her husband.
Oh yeah,
he was a sleaze bag.
I love that they kind of use these movies to just go on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like, oh well, we can go to this island. Okay.
I like that. Like her and her husband were both equally like slutty people. Yeah. Like basically, she never met. You know, she was always naked and everything. And then every time that you see like what was his name, Gabriel Tinti.
Yeah.
Every time Gabriel Tinti is in something, he's in some sleazy sex scene. Even something like Lisa and the Devil, which is like largely almost PG rated. They make this exception to have this like you see like his balls. You know, it's like, where did this come from? It's like it was in his contract. He's like,
oh, yeah,
will you write in like some nasty sex scene for me where I could show my balls? Well, actually, I'm making like this PG rated thing. Well, can you just put it in for like the Japanese market or whatever?
There's ones. The other reason I love D'Amato so much is like when he made Prowlers, aka Troll 3, aka Contamination Point 7. There's a whole bunch of it takes place like outside a video store, and it's like, it's so weird that it's like an American video store, and there's a big picture of Mario, and it says we rent Nintendos. And it's like, I don't think of Joe D'Amato being in the same universe as like Nintendo rentals at a video store. And it feels like this like really weird juxtaposition of time and space.
Yeah, I wonder if he knew that like Mario's supposed to be in Italian, and like if they
it's a Lucio. I think that it's always weird to me to think like, I always think of like the Beyond and Zombie as being like timeless movies that don't like the Zombie came out the same year that the Pirates won the World Series, which is like a far away moment in my life. And Zombie doesn't feel as far away. Like the Beyond is 81, and that's a long time ago, and it doesn't feel like it. Mm-hmm. It feels like his new, at least to me, maybe because I think about it all the time.
Yeah,
Zombie's way back there for me, and I didn't even see it.
Yeah,
like I first became aware of it through that Fangoria cover. That was the first issue of Fangoria I bought, was number 8. And I told you, I've said this many times, I went to see Silent Scream, and when we went into the theater, we got a flyer for Zombie printed in red ink. It was amazing. And that's way back there in the past for me.
Yeah, but it still feels like really, but even like, you know, Suspiria's older than a ton of movies that it doesn't feel as old to me.
Yeah.
Like
No, I understand what you mean.
it still feels like tonight's movie. We said like, this movie feels like it's like 10 or 15 years older than it is. Like if you told me this came out the same time as I Drink Your Blood, I'd be like, yeah, probably. Like
I would have even put it in like Blood of like Dracula's Castle, like 68.
yeah,
Like just her outfits and just, I mean, it's not just the film stock or anything. It's like even just the cars. Like I don't think there was a single car in that film that was past 1970.
his shitty boat. That, like,
It was filmed in 75 though. I mean, it was.
Yeah, but I mean, it looked like it was filmed in like 1967, 68. Like it looked like Flesh Feast era.
Well, a lot of the same people worked on Flesh Feast. That's what we found out. Like, a lot of
if somebody, if you know what it kind of reminded me of too was like Blood and Lace.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it.
Why are you saying this to me, like Justice?
Well, it's like the clothing and stuff. Oh, Blood and Lace is another example of like, can Blood and Lace be a regional horror because it's from LA, but it's so far away from Hollywood, like official Hollywood, that it may as well be like a She Freak or something.
Yeah. It's better than She Freak though.
It's way better than She Freak. Most things are better than She Freak.
That's coming up on the site, Bill, and I was looking at other reviews to see like what other people thought of it as I was formulating my review. And I got to yours, and it was like, oh boy, Bill does not like She Freak.
Oh, did I say I didn't like it?
Not that you say you didn't like it. You're just like, it's all right.
It was just, yeah. I mean, I do like She Freak, and the best thing about She Freak was when it was on Real Wild Cinema.
Yeah.
With Sandra Bernhardt's show, where they edited down, Frank Henenlotter edited all these Something Weird video titles down to like 7 or 8 minutes, and he edited She Freak way down, and that it played really great. In
a lot of those movies play because also a lot of She Freak is the guy who produced it was in like obsessed with carnivals, so that's why you have all that, because it was a real working carnival, and he's like, well, I get to document this carnival, which that part, if you like midways and you like, it was like the largest truck carnival in the country. There are all the extras and the guys in it.
That's my favorite thing about She Freak is how it documents that carnival. That's the only thing that you have really in the runtime of She Freak, is the story is so thin.
I like it, that's probably the same reason.
You better like that.
I like Carnival Magic for the same reasons, because Carnival Magic is Al Adamson making a kids movie, which no one should have allowed this to happen. And it's a movie about a talking chimp that a lot of it is the chimp discussing being killed by scientists. Like it raises a lot of questions that kids shouldn't have to raise. There's a lot of drinking in it.
It's no Lancelot Link.
Oh, no. I think they were like, I'm sure when he got the money for it, he was like, yeah, I'm going to make a kids movie. Kids movies sell really well. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, I've never been around a kid before. What do kids like? Monkeys? Yeah.
Right, he watched like Watership Down to like get it, like how to make a kids movie or something.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. And the first time I saw it, I was like, it really struck me, where I was like, I couldn't believe I was seeing it. And then I went back and watched it again, and it's still don't. Like, it's one of those movies I watch every once in a while. I'm just like, this movie's fuck. And it's also grimy as fuck. It looks scary. Just it has the feel of a regional horror movie, but it's a kids movie.
And the guy who made She Freak made that?
No, Al Adamson did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, I like.
Hey, you know what?
Mhm.
This segment has run way over 90 minutes. We're at 1 hour 39 minutes.
I know you have that. You have that. The ending credits like raring to go.
There's probably like 3 people watching in there.
No, actually, we have almost as many people as we've had the entire broadcast.
Oh, wow.
There's still 12 people watching.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why anyone's still watching, but we're glad you're here.
I have one last question to ask Mike, because I've been waiting to ask him. We're in person. Did you see Sharon Stone on Saturday Night Live?
No, but I saw her talking about it on Instagram, where she's like, yeah. What did she do? Was it good?
Sam Smith did a song, and for some reason, as he was singing, she was on like a big divan. Is that what it's called? One of those big round couches, and it was just her lounging on the couch, and just like, and no one said it was Sharon Stone. It was just like, and of course, instantly I was like, "Holy fuck, it's Sharon Stone!" And in the same way that I felt when I saw her on the end of someone's index finger, it was the same kind of reaction. I was like, what?
Did you
Okay,
see?
just-
Do you follow her on Instagram?
No, I really should. I only follow Sybil Danning, as you know, is the many messages we
Oh
send.
my God, Sybil Danning. The lengths that she will go to tie her, like it'll be whatever.
Do you
But it's
follow
almost
her,
like
Bill?
No, I don't. But
It's
Mike
so-
tells me about her.
it's so
Instagram.
it's almost kind of offensive. Like she'll be like, there was a shooting on a school bus today, and like 20, third graders were gunned down by machine gun fire. Here's me holding a machine gun in like this movie or
Panther
whatever.
Squad.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
she'll
and
just here's
It's like four pictures, and if you saw those pictures, you would not know how to get from A to D.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these pictures don't connect.
Or like what was it that I was saying that like she would be like, here's Brian Koberger, being arrested for murder in Idaho, and he's wearing an orange prison suit for murderers. Here's me wearing an orange bikini in like this movie or something.
There was one this week I have to find that was like amazing.
I feel bad because I don't look at many Instagram posts. I just go on there. I program it from the Facebook app, so I don't actually look at Instagram except to see like comments on the stuff I already posted. I'm a terrible Instagram friend.
Oh, the one I sent you this week was I did a lot of shooting on the set of LA Bounty as an actor and producer. I was extremely careful of gun handling on set. There's all these pictures there with a gun, and the fourth picture's alcohol. It's like, well, at least she's staying. I think she sees what's happening in the news, and then she's like, "It is what social media is like. How do I tie myself into the conversation?"
It's just Oh my God, that's hilarious. I didn't shoot anybody when I made movies.
Yeah, there's a picture of her with like a gigantic gun, like literally like a submachine gun, and she's holding it like this, and then there's a picture of Fallen's face next to her. It's amazing. Those tweets are incredible because and anytime someone dies, it's like I'm shocked she didn't jump on Cindy Williams. You know what I mean? When Cindy Williams died, she was on TV, and so was John Boy, and I was in Battle Beyond the Stars with him, and that's the connection.
Right.
But that's a maybe too logical. Of
Cindy Williams, danced down the street in the opening credits of Laverne and Shirley. Here's me with Klaus Kinski in Operation Thunderbolt.
Exactly. It's
Poor
amazing.
Cindy Williams. I keep thinking about her in Beware the Blob.
Oh yeah.
When she smoked
Salutations.
she smoked that joint with Randy Stonehill.
I just think it's amazing, like that this isn't like a once a month kind of thing that she does. This is like a near daily thing that I send Mike something that she does because it's just like astounding.
She'll you know what it is? It's like she goes to the news story and then she'll like pick a picture out of her collection and then she'll figure out a way to tie it to the news story in like some weird way. And also like the whole thing about like Alec Baldwin or like death, like people being shot and then she'll have like a gun, or like people being raped and murdered and she'll have like, here's me in this person who did the raping and murdering is going to go to prison for a long time. Here's me with Linda Blair in Caged Heat or Chained Heat.
It's just amazing, and it's like she's been in so many things with actors that she literally plays the Kevin Bacon game with herself every day. But it's the tragedy and not the movies a lot of the time.
But do you think it's really her, or is it one of her handlers doing it?
It's written so poorly, I can't imagine that she's paying.
I'm sure it's her because she'll just say, like, sometimes she'll say like really unpopular things, like she'll just kind of blurt out like her politics or whatever, and like if that was like her assistant, they would be like, no. So
yeah, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have hit send on that.
Yeah,
there's like no hashtags, no linking to other stories, no.
It's like a telegram.
Yeah,
it's like beep 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 beep, like no. Yeah,
and there's no punctuation or anything. It's like it's really stream of consciousness insanity. I love it. It's my favorite social media presence to follow, outside of Mike Justice, who's had great posts this week. They're up on.
I follow your Insta, Mike.
Yeah.
I look at your Insta all the time.
Well, thank you.
You mentioned, well, you posted Doctor and the Medics on your Insta.
Oh, because of made to order.
Yeah.
Yes.
My wife was.
You knew I was all over Doctor.
She was right on board with me for a good chunk of that top 10 list.
Yeah, that was fun. I like to. You know what the problem is though? I like doing top 10 lists, but then I'm like, halfway through the list, the responsibility starts to wear on me, and I'm like, oh god, like I have to come up. Like I need to like pick a day at the beginning of the week to like pull all my clips offline and have them all ready and stuff.
Yeah, but other than she doesn't like Amazon Women on the Moon, she just does not like.
That was the least liked of all the posts. Like
it's an HBO favorite for me. Like I've watched it billions of times.
Yeah, no, the most popular one, it was Hello Again.
Oh wow!
Yeah, for whatever reason that got like 250 likes, and then the Amazon Women on the Moon only got like 70. So it flopped. It flopped in real life, and then it flopped on my list.
I love that movie because it gets right so much of UHF channels, like them continually coming back to, speaking of Sybil Danning, coming back to her in that, space movie where she's an alien queen. And it's a different actor every day. They say the actor's wrong every time. They say the movie wrong every time.
I like the one where it's that the Loch Ness Monster is Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
And that they do the recreation where she's like, oh, hey, old Chippy, well, show you a good time for a quid.
It has a great effect of the Loch Ness Monster. It's just as bad as a lot of Loch Ness Monsters that came out at the time.
I was wondering if it wasn't the same creature that they used in that Loch Ness Monster movie that they shot in California, because it looks exactly the same with the big...
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Kentucky Fried Movie fan too, though, so it's kind of like the spiritual sequel to that movie.
Mike Justice, one day you and I will make our Kentucky Fried movie.
I know. Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I can't do things that connect with, like, I'm working, like, my project that I'm working on right now is I'm doing my own little sort of like Nick Millard like double feature, except they're both just going to be like maybe like 25-ish minutes, so it'll be like a double feature that's like an hour long, and it's like one of the movies is about this like lonely hippie who is being stalked by this old lady who keeps calling him on the phone and may or may not be using mind control to make him kill people. And then the second movie is just this sort of like really tonally inconsistent like comedy, like, and nobody's going to want to watch these things. It's just me like just jerking off all over the airwaves, but whatever, I'm an artist.
I'm excited about it.
It's very Andres Serrano. Well, thank you so much for doing the show with us tonight. It's always great to have you on, Mike Justice.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you.
And next weekend, we will have Jennifer Upton beamed in from London directly to our program. She's going to help us talk about our first feature, which is... What was it?
Chakma. I was going to put Blue Monkey with it, but that felt like way too much to put people through. So
I had too many. I soaked all these maraschino cherries in Jameson, and I've been eating them all night.
Chakma and Frankenstein 80.
Frankenstein 80.
Mosaico or whatever they call it.
Mosaic.
Right? Mosaic.
Mosaic, one of the hottest Frankenstein monsters you're ever going to see. And if you haven't seen Frankenstein 80 before, it's really going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
I hope you'll be here with us next weekend to watch it. And until then, be well, be safe, come back, hang out with us, watch Fantastic Domes on the Drive-In Asylum double feature.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardians. 17 not admitted.